Okay, hello everyone. It's Mohammad Ishan here, joining you from Dubai, UAE. First of all, we warmly welcome you to week 10 of our weekly webinar series that is empowering finance professionals to play a business-centric role at the forefront, that is organized by Hub of Finance Transformation, HOFT. And today we are going to cover a very interesting and very relevant topic in the current times, that is champion yourself, combat the COVID-19 recession, and optimize your career management now. And this session is going to be presented by our very special guest speaker, Mr. Martin Buckland, who has already joined us from Toronto, Canada. So Martin is a globally acclaimed executive career coach and executive resume writer, and he has helped thousands of individuals across the world manage their careers, climb the corporate ladder, and land the job they need. Martin is a subject matter expert in nurturing the careers of EMBA candidates and alumni and ambitious professionals, mining executives, and the C-suite community in over 74 countries since 1993. And also, Martin is an expert in working with C-suite and vice president leaders. He has worked extensively in the finance sector at all levels, and also he works as a partner to numerous executive search consultants across the world to source candidates and provide his career management services to recruiters candidates. And also he has quite rich corporate experience, and he has lots of certifications including master resume writer. He's a certified social media career strategist. He's a personal branding strategist, job and career transition coach, employment interview professional, and job search trainer. So as you can see, he has quite rich corporate experience of so many decades, and of course he can give you further introduction himself during when he start the session. So you can get lots of value from his experience and his expertise in the area of career management. So at Hoft, we believe that when we talk about career management, it's all starts from our own perspective, our mindset, like how we see the career management. Either we are looking ourselves as an employee or as an entrepreneur. So at Hoff, we believe that each one of us are entrepreneur because we are in the business of selling our talent to our employers and to our clients. So if we consider ourselves as an entrepreneur, so we should apply the principle of very one futuristic management theorist Peter Drucker, who said that there are only two main functions in any business, that is marketing and innovation. So if as an entrepreneur, we should also keep on innovating ourselves by investing in our new skills, acquiring new skills, talent, competencies, and at the same time, we have to do the marketing also to build our personal brand within the company as well as outside the company in the talent market, because no matter how safely employed we are, because as we know, due to current situation of COVID-19, which has dramatically changed the world, and for many it has become only a matter of survival. Anyone who lose their job these days could not be surprised, so should not be surprised, because many industries are already in deep crisis, when while some others are doing great also on the other hand. So it is going to be a major job description, and for many even a career description. So it is quite overwhelming to think of finding a new job or learning new skills to try another career. So we should think very carefully about our career management and to build our brand and to remain active in the talent market in order to avoid any uncertain situations. So in today's webinar, Martin is going to talk and going to give you a very practical tips and tricks on how to minimize the impact of COVID-19 recession, sharpen your competitive edge, create an ATS-friendly CV, and enticing LinkedIn profile. Because as you all know that most of the jobs these days are hidden, and they are not being publicly posted in the market. So you have to build your brand to that level so that recruiters can search you themselves through the social media, especially through the LinkedIn, and through if you have an attractive online profile or CV. And of course, Martin, he has lots of expertise in this area. He will talk with you in this area in detail. So this is going to be a 1 hour webinar, and we want it to be more interactive. So during the session, if you have any questions from Martin, you can just simply drop your question in the chat box, and or alternatively, you can just unmute yourself during the Q&A session. During last 15 to 20 minutes, we will keep it for Q&A. So you can just unmute yourself and speak openly with Martin directly if you have any question relating to your career or relating to his points that he will make during the session. So we want it to be more engaging and interactive webinar, not only one side. So you can also anytime you can just drop your question in the chat box. We will try to address as maximum questions as possible. So those of you who are joining us, I will quickly tell you about our platform. This is Hubba Finance Transformation, the organizer of this webinar and this 3 months weekly webinar series. So our vision is to support the global community of accounting and finance professionals who aspire to take more leadership roles in the future and who want to transform their careers, develop their careers. And of course, that's why this webinar is a part of our weekly webinar series to support finance professionals in their career development and in their career transformation. And we collaborated with some subject matter experts in the field of finance, finance transformation, business partnering. These are our main contributors from different countries, including USA, Pakistan, and from Dubai, UAE. So they used to contribute with their research work and latest content on finance, business partnering, new developments, emerging technologies. And this is our strategic finance leadership framework that we have developed at Hoft. So of course, when we talk about career management, so you can see which area you have some weaknesses. Obviously, you have to do your SWOT analysis, your strength, your weaknesses, which area. For example, on the left-hand side, we have public personal leadership. This is mostly your soft skills, your weapons of mass influence, what we call. And on the right-hand side, you can see your technical and business competence that include your financial, strategic, operational, and technology. So on the right-hand side, most of the finance professionals, they are already good at it because they have, if they are professionally qualified accountants, CPA, CA, CCA, CGMA, or whatever finance accountancy qualification they have. But the most important is the weapons of mass influence that is on the left hand side, your inner game and your outer game. So these are the complete skill set that you need to acquire in order to become a world-class strategic finance leader. So of course, this is a part of your career management. So now, without taking further time, I will just release my controls and give it to Martin. Martin, are you with us?
I'm here. Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah, I'm ready. Good to go. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good. Well, thanks, Mohammed, for inviting me. I'm very, very honored. I love sharing my considerable wealth of knowledge gained over 26 years on career management. And normally, in a good times, I travel all over the world. Last year, I was in I traveled 11 and a half times around the world, speaking at conferences and to business schools and other groups. But of course, sadly, this year that's been curtailed. However, I was in Dubai in February prior to COVID, and I have a London office, London UK office, so I flip between Toronto and London. So I'm a global expert. There's no boundaries, no country boundaries, no global culture, no culture issues with me. I understand what resumes, what CVs, and what career management means to everybody across the world. Because as in your introduction, I worked with many thousands across the world. I'm an international expert within my business. So today we are in a different age. The world changed a lot in March, April time. We went from really being an employees market to an employers market. So now they've got plenty of talent to choose from. So you need to really heighten your career management. So many people don't manage their careers, and that's a downfall. They manage their finances, but statistics tell us that if you manage your career, you can advance, you can be happy in your career, you can earn more money, and you can retire earlier. So I'm sure one, or if not all of those, appeal to you. So you need to really manage your career, and then you can put more money into your savings, your investments, whenever you meet with your investment planner. So yes, the world has changed. My philosophy, I'm a coach that says it as it is. I'm a realistic coach. I don't pull the wool over anybody's eyes or anything. I say it as it is. Each job is temporary. You say you've got a full-time or a permanent job. Yeah, permanent or full time for right now, but next week it might not be full time because corporations, companies, or NGOs, or even governments can dispose of you at any particular time, not just simply because of your performance, although that does come into it. They can dispose of you because of the economy. And that's what we saw earlier on this year. There's millions and millions of people in career transition. I don't call it unemployment, I call it in career transition. And I suspect from my network of economists across the world that we haven't hit rock bottom yet. So where I am here in Canada, COVID-2 is now starting to get here, and I know it is quite rampant in other countries as well, particularly Europe. So that could bring more downsizing, as they call it. So each job is temporary. So you never know when you're going to be laid off, terminated, canned, or whatever you want to call it. You have to manage your career right now, right today, because that is the element of your, not just your career success, but your personal success, because you bring your career home to your family, your spouse, or anybody else who's surrounded by you. And if you aren't happy in your career, that shows in your personal life as well. So you need to be happy. You need to prepare for the negatives, which is a downsizing. So many people were caught by surprise in February, March, April, May, and they were terminated. So do you manage your career? You need to think about, hopefully at the end of this seminar, it will be ingrained in your mind. Well, yeah, you know what he said, what Martin said is true. I now need to focus on managing my career because you are a CEO. Every one of you listening today, you are a CEO, Chief Operating Officer, Chief Operating Officer of your own career. So you need to really broadcast that you are your CEO of your career. So supposing an executive recruiter or somebody from corporate in your, wherever you are in the world, you're a corporate entity somewhere in your country, wherever you are, calls you today and says, Mike, Raj, Gitu, Laxman, Chu, I've got a great job for you, but where is your CV? Where is your resume? Is it up to date? You probably haven't got an up-to-date resume or a CV. If you have, it's probably non-ATS, and we're going to talk a little bit about that as the presentation unfolds. But are you ready for that call? You need to be ready because the recruiter or the HR professional or anybody else of deciding factor in your future career wants that CV probably within 24 hours. Now, there's a rule of thumb. If you haven't got, or if you've got an outdated CV resume, it takes an hour and a half, yes, an hour and a half for every year you've got in your career history. So let's use, my arithmetic's not very good, so let's use 20 years as a good example. So 20, that means it's going to take you about 30 hours to rewrite your CV, your resume. So CV, by the way, is exactly the same as a resume. They're just named differently depending on where you are in the world. And so you need to be in charge of your career. You need to have an update resume. Now, many of you come from humble cultures in Asia. There's nothing wrong in that. I like people being humble, but you now are a sales professional. You are selling yourself. So the hiring is tough right now. The hiring authorities, they have tons and tons of talent, whereas before they didn't. So you need to make yourself look number one in the hiring authorities, whether it be an executive recruiter or whether it be anyone else who has can hire you. So hiring it is tough. You have to make yourself stand out from number one. So basically, I tell my clients, you are in a street race. There is only a trophy for number one. You want to look after number one. I make sure I look after number one do you look after number one? Because you want to be the first in that particular race. So it starts off with a big, a lot of people, a lot of potential candidates, and then they narrow it down to probably the interview where maximum of 10 people are going to be interviewed, and then they narrow it down further to maybe 5, and then they narrow it down to 2, and then they narrow it down to 1, and you want to be that number 1. You want to be the one who wins that race. So it doesn't come easy. You have to work hard at it, and that's where people who manage their careers, who have an up-to-date CV, have a LinkedIn profile, have a Facebook profile, and are active on social media and networking, win the race. So, as I said, just alluded to a couple of minutes ago, you are a salesperson. So there may be people on here who are in supply chain or finance. You know, there's a lot of finance people here. So you are, yes, you're good at what you do, but are you good at selling yourself? Now, finance people tend to be very, again, humble. So if you're from Asia and you are a finance person, you know, you've got two things. You're humble in finance. You're humble in selling yourself because of cultural, your culture, which is good because I love culture and I love finance. But you now need to transition your mind and think you are a product. So what you are, I'm going to break it down. It's very basic. It's very simple, but it's very realistic. Every one of you listening today and on when this is repeated are a product. You are a product, and you're sending that product to the market, wherever that market may be. Maybe in your own country, or maybe you want to transition to another country. Now, I'm going to tell you that immigration still goes on in the world while we're in a recession, but it's not as buoyant. And then if you want to initiate your own transfer without using the immigration, so try and get a visa from a company here in Canada, in the US, and the UK, Germany, or wherever, it's far more difficult because they, in that particular country, have a lot of talent they could pick from. Why should they drive or hire somebody from another country? But they will, in good times, they will. But there, you need to make yourself look really, really seductive. So you need to get in that mindset of, I'm a salesperson. I am going to sell myself. You need all the tools that go with that. So think about what the tools are. They're your resume, your CV. They're your LinkedIn profile. They're your Facebook profile. And yes, recruiters and HR professionals are using Facebook more and more to source talent. It's becoming a big platform, search engine for looking for talent. So use Facebook, use LinkedIn. I'm going to talk a little bit about LinkedIn as we go through. So you're not in finance, you're not in supply chain, you are a salesperson when you manage your career. So then we have to break it down further. There are probably people on this webinar who have exactly the same qualifications, maybe the same designations or the same degrees. So what is your differentiator? Why should what differentiates me from Anis to David, to Gitu, to Laxman, or Mohammed? What is your differentiator? Why should I engage you? All their acronyms, or their designations, their finance designations, and their degrees are exactly the same. So what is your differentiator? So you have to understand that. Now, I suspect many people have not probably heard of personal branding. Let me talk a little bit about personal branding. Now, many of you probably work for a well-known brand within your country or a global brand. Think of Procter & Gamble, think of IBM, think of Microsoft, think of Apple, Amazon. They're all global brands, but you might work for a well-known brand within your geographic region. They all have their brand. You recognize that brand. They have a logo, they have a color scheme, they have a culture. You as a person, you have a personal brand, and you need to articulate that personal brand. Now, one of my many certifications is a personal brand strategist. I'm fascinated by how people can separate themselves. So an accountant, for instance, and I suspect many of you are accountants here, many all think of themselves as bean counters. Well, that's just a function of what you do. There are many other things that an accountant does. But don't think you are just solely a bean counter. You have what's called a unique promise of value. What is your differentiator? Give me a compelling reason to pick up the phone or go on Zoom or any other platform and have an informal before a formal interview with you. So you need to think about your personal brand. So another way to look at a personal brand is if you were at a business meeting or you were a student at a university and you left that class or you left that business meeting, what would those remaining behind at that business meeting or that class say about you after you left that meeting? So that's what they say. It's your unique promise of value, your differentiator, your value add, your competitive edge. Because coming back to that, you are all in a race, and there is only a trophy for number one. You always want to be considered number one. So a personal brand is very interesting. It's the way I like to see how different cultures think of themselves as a product. And right now I'm working with clients in, I think it's 29 different countries. So what is your unique promise of value? So you have to articulate that in a certain number of words. So it's 15, you have to write that statement in 15, 17, or 19 words. Why? Is because psychologists tell us that the human mind, our mind, picks up, doesn't matter where you are in the world, all minds are exactly the same. Why do what is your unique promise of value? Why? It's a psychological number, 15, 17, and 19 words that the human mind picks up more than 18, more than 20, more than 16 words. So when a client engages me to do their resume, their CV, or any other service, coaching or whatever, I go through that exercise of your personal brand. What is so special about you? So it has to be written in 15, 17, or 19 words as a statement, not individual words, but as a statement. So this is your chance to shine above the competition. One of your many chances in a CV or a resume to shine above the competition. So in other words, it's your sales proposition. So write that, make it stand out on your CV, on your resume, because that's one of the key things that executive recruiters or HR professionals or any other decision maker, doesn't matter where you are in the world, are looking for. What is so special about Mohammed? What is so special about Chu? What is so special about David? Why should I, if I was in a hiring position, choose you? Okay, so think of your personal brand. Sell, sell, sell. This is your sales proposition. And as you know, you only get one kick of the can here. So you need to really seduce the audience, whatever audience that is, straight away. So a personal brand. Then we have the resume, the CV. Now, resume has changed a lot in the last few years. Unfortunately, like in anything, where we go today. Technology has a huge influence in screening, processing resumes. So put yourself in an HR function. When they get today, they can get, for one job, they can get 2, 3, 4, even 5,000 resumes. So they're not read by human beings initially. They are read by scanning machineries. It's called ATS, Applicant Tracking System, and it's a very sophisticated computer application. Now, there are 22 different software houses across the world that build this for executive recruiters, HR functions, and several other people. So when I write a resume, I'm lucky I have access to ATS. So every third resume I put through ATS, because I want to make sure that when a client engages me, I'm going to get them the maximum exposure. So it falls into certain elements. You can't have your degree or your designations right next to your name. You have to have it underneath your name, because if you've got the word CPA, CMA, CGA, ACA, or whatever next to your name, it will think that, or MBA, it will think that that's your name. You don't want that. So you have your acronyms underneath your name. You have your full residential address. And then in this order, underneath that, you then have, in this order, you have your phone number first, your email second. Never, ever, ever use a Hotmail account. Hotmail is not considered professional, so make sure you have a professional address. And then your LinkedIn address. Make sure you customize your LinkedIn address. Now, what am I talking about? If you go to your LinkedIn URL, and you've got numbers and letters after your name, that is the default they gave you when you signed up. You need to go and customize that. You need to take those numbers and letters out after your name for two reasons. A, it's far more professional, and B, Google, in its algorithm visits to your LinkedIn profile, and remember that Google is constantly, algorithms are trawling everything on the web all the time, thousands and thousands of algorithms going out across the web. So you want your LinkedIn profile to come up further. When somebody's looking for your talent, so you need to have as soon as you do that, take those numbers and letters out after your name. Google, in its algorithm visits to your LinkedIn profile, will give you a 400% uplift. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about LinkedIn in a few minutes. So you have on one line beneath your residential address, you have your phone number, your email, your residential address, and this is new. This has just happened in the last few months. You need your Zoom address. We should all be on Zoom. That's another communications tool now that people can contact you. And then you have a directive, you have the generic title of the position you're seeking, and then you have underneath, or you customize that. So if it's Senior Manager, Financial Planning and Analysis, you put Senior Manager, Financial Planning and Analysis. So you put that title there, and you have your 15, 17 or 19 word statement beneath that, your personal brand. Then you go into a soft skills summary about yourself. And then you need to have all the buzzwords that are pertinent to you. So an executive recruiter or an HR professional, it doesn't matter where you are, Mumbai, Dubai, Hong Kong, Singapore, Toronto, London, Paris, wherever, are looking for talent right now, and they search for talent in their pool. If your resume is in their pool, you've submitted it, they search for talent based on key buzzwords. So the finance have particular buzzwords. So you have financial planning and analysis, you have management discussion and analysis, you have treasury, you have internal controls, you have financial reporting, you have IFRS, you have GAAP. What type of GAAP? Which country? Canada, US, UK, or whatever. You have auditing. You have a multitude of skills, general accounting, Continuous improvement, cost accounting. So you need to think about, well, what if my resume or my CV was hidden in my computer? What business buzzwords would I type in to have my resume come out? So I'm going to suggest you have about 18, in which case you do 3 columns of 6 or 2 columns of 9. And then you go into your work history. Now, this is another way, even before ATS, applicant tracking system, the resume and CV writing has changed. We used to just put our responsibilities. Well, everybody knows what a responsibility for a finance manager, for an accounting manager, or for an FPA manager, or whatever. We all know that. I need to know what projects have you completed or about to complete. What are your successes? Even in the most humble countries in Southeast Asia, the mentality and the rationale for reading resume CVs is changing. They don't just want to know you for your responsibilities. I want to know you for streamlining operations, making me money, saving me money, eliminating headcount, introducing new systems, introducing new IT practices and whatever. You need to make yourself stand out from the competition. So when I build and I write a resume or a CV every day, right now I'm writing 7 to 9 a week. I want to know my client successes. So I build it around an acronym called STAR. So situation, task, action, result. So STAR stories. Every one of you watching today and the people on the repeats when you get it are a star. You need to think of yourself as a star. Now, how many stars should you have? There's a rule of thumb, 1.5 star stories per year. So you really need to think about star, star, star. So if you've got, say, you've got 2 years, that's 3 star stories. So the more stars you have at this end of your career, over the early end of your career, unless you had something amazing, talk about it. I don't call myself a CV or a resume writer anymore. I call myself a storyteller. So I tell stories based on my clients' successes, built around the acronym STAR: situation, task, action, result. So you go all the way through to STAR. You can have 3 pages. I wouldn't go more than 3 pages. You can have, you can go to put the bottom of your 3rd page. You can put your education. Sometimes, depending on which country, sometimes you can go to 4 pages, but generally in the Western world, it's 3 pages. If you are in the US, it's 2 pages. That's all you get. 2 pages is the US. Rest of the world generally is 3 pages, and you can go to 4 pages in certain Middle Eastern countries and whatever. But yeah, then you also need to think about, well, I'm currently in Dubai, which is you use the English, the UK English. But if you're coming to Canada, you need to convert that to the Canadian English, or you're going to go to the US, you need to convert it to the US English, which is different from the Canadian English in quite some minor spelling, minor grammar, punctuation. Australian English, New Zealand English, and you can do that quite simply in Word by just tuning it, and it automatically does it for you. So a resume, our CV, is a very, very important document. It's your sales tool. It's your window to the world. It introduces yourself as a perfect candidate for a particular job. Now, depending on where you are in the world, there are different different percentiles of jobs advertised. So I live in Canada. Only 8% of jobs are advertised. That includes all the job boards, all the all the national newspapers, and all the corporate websites. The further east you go, so some of you are in Dubai, and I work a lot in Dubai. I've got a huge client base in Dubai. I try and get there, I did try and get there 2 to 3 times a year. And I speak a lot in Dubai. I'm not there right now. But you would have the advertised jobs are 36%. And then executive recruiters are 12%. So you're just up to a fraction below 50%. Where is the rest going to come from? Networking. So you need to think about, well, which country are you in? You go to the UK, it's 28% are advertised. You go to the US, just south of me here, and it's 19%. But where I am, I don't know why it happened, but we only 8%. 8% of jobs are advertised. I've got many clients from Dubai right now. I'm working with two clients from Dubai who are actually coming from Dubai. They've got their landed immigrant status. They're coming to Canada right now. So resume is a very, very important document. You only get one chance, again, to make that first impression. Now let's move on to something else that you need to spend a voluminous amount of time on, your LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn profile, unlike a resume, is pageless. You can scroll down for ages. It's built around different sections, and each section has its own number of characters. I hear somewhere on my desk, I've got a list of, oh yes, here it is, of all the characters. So each space, each section, as you go down, has its own number of characters, and they've just recently changed some of those number of characters. So you're allowed to have on your profile. So these are the two things you must have, and I bet several people haven't got them. You need to customize your LinkedIn URL, which I just said about 5 minutes ago. So go and do that. If you've got numbers and letters out after your name, go and take them out. If you've got a middle name, you can't get your own name, put your middle name in there, or the initial for your middle name, and try different scenarios. And then you must have a picture. Why? Because, again, Google, as soon as you put a picture, and a professional picture, I'm not interested in one of you with your kids or your spouse or somebody else having a party or whatever. I'm interested in a professional picture just of you, just for you. So only have you in there. So, and another reason why is it's Google, again, similar to your URL, this time it's a huge uplift. It gives you a 1,400% uplift, 1400% uplift. Okay, so think of it. You need to have, by having your picture and customizing your LinkedIn URL, which is going to take you 2 minutes to put your picture on and customize your LinkedIn URL, you're giving Google an 1,800% uplift. You need to have a full story about your career history, reverse chronological, just like your CV. You need to have recommendations. Now, I see so many profiles without recommendations, totally void of recommendations, which is not good. Or if they have got recommendations, they're 10 years, 8 years, 5 years, 4 years out of date. You need to have recommendations. Okay, there is a rule of thumb that you have 5 recommendations per appointment, not per employee, because you might have been promoted within, you might have had 4 different appointments within that company. So, and if you got 4, then you would have close to 20. And what will those recommendations look like? It's another screening process. Because the first thing a recruiter does, or an HR professional, when they got your CV in front of them, is go to LinkedIn. And you don't want to, you've got a great resume, CV, and then you let yourself down because you've got an inferior LinkedIn profile. So don't do that. That's foolish. You need to have a very stellar, a very robust, a very telling, very compelling, striking LinkedIn profile. As I say, it's endless. So you would have 5 per job. One would be try and get your boss if possible. So if you're terminated, try and get your boss to give you a recommendation. One from a peer, somebody lateral to you, one from an employee, and then one from a supplier / vendor, and another one from a client customer. So the maximum, the icing on the cake is have five per job. Hopefully that's going to help you. But you need to fill it right out. And you can now put some samples of your work. If you've done a video or you've got a PowerPoint presentation or you've built a product or whatever, you can put a media stuff on your LinkedIn profile. So this is your chance to shine, because executive recruiters in Dubai, executive recruiters in Mumbai, executive recruiters in Hong Kong, Sydney, Toronto, London, Paris, right this minute, they take a lot of their work home, are looking for talent like you. You also need to start joining groups. So let me take a step back here. You need to, don't just have a passive LinkedIn, you need to have an active LinkedIn. So you share content, you comment on content, and you create your own content. Within the body, the program of LinkedIn, it gives you a chance to publish. You need to publish things. Now you're going to say, oh, I don't think I have got anything to publish, whatever. Yes, I bet you had a problem with an M&A or IFRS or something. We'll talk about that. That's a good subject. And you're also marketing yourself as a subject matter expert. LinkedIn provides you the opportunity to a global audience. 718 million, I think it was last week or the week before last. 718 million population looking at you for free. You need to use it. So use LinkedIn. So publish, create content, so publish, copy other people's content and share and comment on their content. If you want to do comment, I'm in the top very, very high on Google, on LinkedIn, and if you want to comment on one of my posts, that will be great, because that elevates your ranking, because I have a very high Google ranking within LinkedIn and LinkedIn ranking. So I publish all the time because I want to educate, just like I am you now. I want to educate people across the world on career management or a particular topic within career management. So finally, at the bottom, right at the bottom, you have a chance to join groups. Now, there are millions of groups. There are many groups within Dubai. So there must be a Dubai finance group. There is a Paris finance group. There's a London finance group, or accounting group, or whatever. Type in the search engine, find a group that is appropriate to you, and then join that group. Apply to join. Sometimes you have to be let in by the gatekeeper. So apply to join. And once you've got into that group, introduce yourself. So if you are in career transition, this is really, really important. You need to join lots of groups and you need to introduce yourself. So what I would suggest, in Microsoft Word, you create about a paragraph, maybe 10 to 12 lines on who you are, and tell the people that you are actively in career transition. Remember, you're not unemployed, you're in career transition, and you're seeking your next opportunity or challenge. So there are people, if you're going to join the finance Dubai group, or the Mumbai finance group, or the Paris or London finance group, and there's tons and tons of groups within Dubai, London, Paris, Mumbai. There may be somebody who's looking for talent like you. I can write, after 26 years in this business, I can write a book on that sort of thing. So you need to be active on LinkedIn. So if you are in career transition, you can search. If you want to go and work for ABC company, you can go and find the person who will be your boss or your boss's boss, because remember, I talked about all those hidden jobs. Majority of them are hidden. you want to go and work for ABC company, you find your boss or your boss's boss and try and invite them to get them to connect with you, and then network with them and invite them maybe for, if you're allowed right now, depending on which country because of COVID, whether you're allowed to visit and network with people in person or whether you can Zoom or whatever with them. So you need to network, because I suggest that the bulk of your jobs, your next jobs, aren't going to come through job boards. They are going to come through networking. So you need to network, network, network. So that's LinkedIn, fully complete from top to bottom. The more text you put in, the more opportunities will come your way. And have your picture and have your LinkedIn URL. Now we move on to Facebook. Facebook is, a lot of people are skeptical about using Facebook. I know of many clients who've been found as a result of Facebook. Now, Facebook has changed a lot in the last few years. It's gone from more personal to more business. And a lot of corporations are now using it to broadcast their brand. Well, you are a brand, you are a product too. So use it very liberally. I use it for my LinkedIn, for my British sense of humor, but I also use it for business as well. So make sure you use it prudently and be careful on what you put on. Same applies to all social media. Just be careful of what you put on social media, because it goes out to a vast audience, global audience, so quick. And we know certain people who damage their brand as soon as they put stuff on social media, particularly Twitter. So you can use Twitter as well. If you're a sales and marketing professional, you need to be active on Twitter. That's what a recruiter's looking for in sales and marketing. So taking a step back now, networking. So I'm a fearless networking. When I was in Dubai in February, I networked galore. I try and I have a ton of clients in each country where I can network. So I can just pick up the phone and get a network within a few minutes in the major country or major cities in the world. You need to network, if possible, in person. If not, network using Zoom. So you need to think about using in-person and online networking. Now, there's a group, well, there's a website called Meetup, meetup.com. Now, I haven't done it for Dubai or London or whatever, but just recently, just earlier this week, I was giving a seminar here in Toronto. So I typed in, it was for finance executives. There were 3 networking groups coming up, 1 Zoom, 1 and 2 in person, but they may be changed because we're locking down again. 2 in-person networking groups for Zoom. So you need to, sorry, for Meetup. So you need to go to meetup.com. So wrapping it all up, I know there's a lot to digest, and I could be here till breakfast tomorrow morning. I could talk and talk and talk. You need to sharpen your competitive edge. You only get just one chance to make yourself look attractive to the human eye, to that scanning machinery, and you are in a race. Now, this recession is a bit different from the previous 2 recessions I've worked through. I'm not seeing as many finance professionals let go as they were in other recessions, because it's a non-revenue generating function. Normally they can, just like that, terminated or whatever you want to call it, along with HR professionals. This time it's across the board, even sales, which surprises me because they need to make money. So you need to sharpen your competitive edge in this recession, and then you need to sharpen your competitive edge when this recession subsides and whatever happens afterwards. So you are a product. You are sending that product to the market. You only get one kick of the can here. You have to make that first impression. So do you make that first impression? I'm more than happy to give you a free no obligation resume or CV critique if you want it after this. I will also provide you with a LinkedIn audit. I will go through it from top to bottom. I'm really passionate about helping people, not just in bad times, but in good times. I never have to sell, but I want you to get the job where you want to land and be happy and be satisfied and learn, because we're all in the learning environment as well. So hopefully you've learned a lot today from this seminar, and I'll be here for you. Just shoot me a message, and I'm more than happy. Those of you who are senior managers and above, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm more than happy to help you. You can join me on LinkedIn, and then you'll get access to my close to 29,000 people on LinkedIn, of which I've spoken to 26,500 of those. So I actually know 26,500. So I'm here for you. Hopefully you've learned a lot today. If there's any questions, there's no questions coming in the chat line. So I'll hand it back to Mohammed, and I'll be here for you. Any other questions?
Okay, thank you very much, Martin, for such practical tips and techniques for effective career management during this tough time. So from the audience, if you have any question, just you can unmute yourself and ask a question directly from Martin, or you can just write your question in the chat box. Yes, Muhammad Arif, he has a question. Yes,
Yep,
Arif.
go ahead.
Hi. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Thank you for your time. I need to ask one question. How to hide ourselves from our existing employer on the LinkedIn if they anonymously checking our profile and we are seeking for opportunities or wish to switch our job. So is there any particular way to cover this group?
Yeah. So that's a very interesting subject. I don't know what the employment laws are in your particular country, but where are you calling from? Where are you, Mohammed?
Dubai.
Dubai. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So a LinkedIn profile is you should complete it right out. It's not your employer's marketing tool. It's your tool. Now, so I'm not too sure how far you can go. You should have completed it out straight away when it came, when you join LinkedIn, and then you can add to it. But if you haven't got a complete LinkedIn profile and you're going to add to it, yeah, that can trigger the employer's intrigue. Well, why is he upgrading his? Why is he putting more stuff on? Is he intending on moving? Is he intending on leaving? So yeah, that's not a good situation. But you can just do it. You can take it offline, and you can add a little bit, maybe each week. Maybe just fill out so people, very subtle, so you're not overtly updating the complete profile. So you can take it offline, so then they don't know that you're upgrading it, and then do a little bit 1 week, take a break for 2 or 3 weeks, do another little bit, take a break for 2 or 3 weeks, do another little bit, and to build it up that way. So you're not attracting their eye like a huge upgrade. So that hopefully that will answer your question. It is awkward, yeah, but they should not be intrigued, because it's your profile, not the company's profile. You mentioned about the review of CVs and LinkedIn profile. How do we contact? Okay, so I'll type in my I'll type in my my address here. Excuse me, I have to put my glasses on. I've reached that age where I need the glasses. So
yeah, sure. No.
there's my my main website, analyticresume.com. Yeah, so if anybody wants a free, no obligation resume critique, send it to me. Mention that you were on this call, and then I will arrange to call you maybe sometime during the week. If you're in Dubai, maybe next weekend, Friday or Saturday, and I'll be happy to have a conversation with you. There's another question come in to everyone. I do this generally looking for a career, so approaching recruiters who can quite easily. Oh, yeah. Okay. So touching base with a recruiter is tough. So you have to get on their radar, and I could talk a lot about that. I could talk another, perhaps we can bring an executive recruiter from Dubai. I do know recruiters in Dubai on a call one day. How do you get onto their radar? But you need, once you get on their radar, then you need to stay on that radar. It's relationship. The whole thing about career management is relationship management. Manage that relationship and retain those relations. Never lose track of a person. So once you've built a relationship with an executive recruiter, they can manage your career for the rest of your life. But if you are having great fun, you have no intention of moving, you can go and so every 6 months or so, send that recruiter you build a relationship with a message saying you're having a great time at ABC Company. Send them one of those star stories: situation, task, action, result, and then tell them you're always looking out for your next opportunity. So it's relationship. So the best way to get in touch with recruiters is through a referral, somebody who knows that recruiter already, or if it's a big global company, they all have, each recruiter, they share a researcher. So I will pick up the phone and give that company, that firm, a call and say, who is the recruiter in charge of finance? And they get their name, and then try and link in with them, but also send them your resume, your up-to-date resume, your CV, and FedEx it or Purelator it or courier it to the person, and that makes it look impressive. Not just email it. So do it both. Email it and courier it, because we all open those courier envelopes. They're multicolored. They're important. So just spend a little bit extra and get that on their desk. If they have a researcher, some of them have researchers, send it in by the researcher and they will feed it into their database. Is there any ATS software to check the CV if it's professional? Yeah, now that's a great question. There are, but you know what? They are not good on the internet. They all say they're great, but actually they're not. I've yet to find one. They're a selling company. They want to. They're sort of inferior sales companies who've seen this an opportunity to sell CVs or resumes or make comments on people, not a professional like me who's got endless years in writing resumes, who's very honest and upfront and realistic. So there are softwares you can feed it in. It'll give you a point score, but to be honest, sadly, they are not good. They are not good at all. I've yet to find one good, which would be great, but no, I don't. I know of about maybe a couple of dozen that aren't good, and they'll always knock your resume, your CV down. Any other questions?
Okay, I think that's all. So I think Martin has already provided his email ID. So if anyone has any query or any question, they can either directly reach to Martin or connect with him over the LinkedIn. And we will try to schedule some more sessions with Martin in the near future. As Martin, he worked closely with very recruiters and search consultants, I think in Dubai also. So we will try to get some recruiter as well, so we can come to know how we can come on their radar and what they are actually looking for even during this time of COVID-19. What's their search criteria for, especially for the finance professionals. So yeah, I think that will be a very good session as well. So thank you very much, Martin, for your time and for such a great and practical and highly insightful ideas and tricks and techniques for career management. And thank you all the audience as well for your questions and for your time to attend this webinar. Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, Martin.
Take care.